All right, guys. Like I said, gonna answer questions. In my last video, I said if you wanted to ask questions, put them under the video, and a week from then, which is today, I'd answer your questions. So here we are. I didn't get a lot of questions. Well, not from a lot of people anyway. I did get a bunch of questions from a couple of people here. So I'm going to do my best to try to answer them here right on the spot. Let's just go through the comments here on the video. So forgive me if I'm not looking directly in the camera here while I'm answering this shit, and it's not that I'm bored or whatever. It's just I'm trying to read it from the fucking screen here, so my eyes are diverted, and I'm not a professional newscaster or anything like that. So whatever. Okay. First comment: DJ's BrewTube. Enjoy the summer, Lee. Cheers. Well, thank you, DJ. That's not a question. Albino Rhino. Oh, he's got a bunch of questions here. First off, he asks, "What's my favorite Christmas-themed horror movie?" Um, it's probably a toss-up between Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale, which has a very different take on Santa Claus, or Gremlins. I think Gremlins is probably one of the best, if not necessarily Christmas themed. It happens during and around Christmas. Gremlins does, and there's actually, I mean, even with the comedy bits and sort of the cute shenanigans and shit with Gizmo, there's actually some darker stuff in that black comedy. And then there's of course the story Phoebe Cates gives about her dad trying to come down the chimney as Santa Claus and breaking his neck. So why she hates Christmas or whatever. So yeah, that's probably a good one. Favorite zombie flick? Well, Dawn of the Dead, original Dawn of the Dead. That's the zombie flick that all modern zombie flicks should be judged against, and most of them fall short. A recent one, other than the 28 Days Later films, which I think are actually pretty good now that I've gotten used to the fast zombies or whatever. Because they're not really zombies. It's not really a zombie flick in the traditional sense. But The Dead, from a couple years back, set in Africa. An American AIDS worker with the military gets trapped in Africa as they're evacuating because of this zombie outbreak in the continent, and he teams up with a black or an African soldier, and they sort of journey together. Not lots of exposition or anything, just like sort of like simple, believable situations they get into. And it has this sort of slow Romero zombies. Very, very good movie if you haven't seen it. Favorite gore flick? I assume you're just talking stuff that where the gore and the splatter really stands out, where it was like almost intentional to really make a big splatter flick. Maybe The Deadly Spawn, and I'm just kind of pulling that one right off the top of the pile because I just recently rewatched it a few days back. That one just totally bloody. Very phallic monsters as well. So essentially, it's a movie about alien penis monsters eating people. Other than that, probably anything from Lucio Fulci. I mean, a lot of his movies are very. They don't make any fucking sense at all, but the gore in a lot of those movies is so fucking top notch. Well, it sort of walks the line between cheesy and top notch because whenever someone gets impaled on something, it's like the damage done to their bodies is like extremely graphic, like beyond what you would actually see in real life. But pretty interesting. Favorite exploitation flick? Well, that covers too broad a range for me to really say one film, doesn't it? I mean, that could include gore flicks, zombie flicks, Christmas-themed horror movies. I'll just give the stock answer, I guess, of maybe like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. or something along those lines. Maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. He asks also, why do you hate albinos? Well, why would I not hate albinos, Chad? You're all pale, pasty, white people with pink eyes, and you're hateful motherfuckers. You know, that's the way it is. He also asks if me, you, Paul the Cantankerous Cook, the Man-Child, and Paul of PA Brew News went to an open bar wedding, how much do you suspect we would cost the bride and groom? And what sort of shenanigans do you expect would happen? Shit. Well, I think first off, if all of us were there at an open bar in a wedding, no one else would approach the bar, first off, so the entire bar would be ours. So essentially, we would, if we got to the bar before anyone else, we would basically cost the bride and groom whatever amount of alcohol was present at the bar, because we'd probably drink everything, if not break everything. And I get the feeling with guys like the Cantankerous Cook and the Man-Child there, we'd probably get in a fucking fight with the rest of the wedding party. At the very least, we'd probably beat up the groom's father or something along those lines. So, yeah, it's probably not a good idea for us to attend a wedding. Although, if we all went to a bar together, we'd really get in trouble then. We'd probably have a really bad bar fight. So actually, probably the wedding would be safer. And then, of course, there would always be bridesmaids afterwards. For, you know, whatever. Okay, so we're moving on now. Average Joe asks a few questions. He wants to know if there are any specific fall and or winter season beers that are generally exciting to me every year, that excite me. Propeller Revolution, of course. Garrison Spruce beer, definitely do. Other than that, honestly, not a lot around here. At least not anything I can really get. I kind of wish Pump House would make those fucking Doppelbocks again. I was excited of the idea of getting that again, but I guess they stopped doing that, bastards. But other than that, a lot of the other seasonals are kind of, they're kind of weak sauce, really. I mean, Propeller's pumpkin beer just went to shit. They stopped making, Garrison stopped making their Marzen, so that's out of the picture. Fucking Propeller doesn't make their Hefeweizen anymore, which was awesome, and I miss that beer. So, yeah, no, seasonals don't get me too excited around here, because there's usually not much to get excited about, so. And do I plan on re-reviewing any of them? Yeah, I might, if I get bored. The Propeller Revolution, I probably won't review that again, unless all of a sudden Propeller starts making, like, really shitty batches. Then I'd have to do a review just as a sort of a public service saying, like, don't buy this beer this year because it's shit. But for the most part, no, probably won't. And he says, to dive into the movie section of questioning, what is your favorite Christmas, winter, holiday related movie? Maybe one that you will try to watch every year. Cheers. Favorite Christmas movie I try to, or holiday theme movie I try to watch every year? Well, I generally, it's the cliched thing to do, but I generally do watch Halloween every October, the original Halloween. Again, favorite Christmas theme movie, probably Gremlins, or Rare Exports, like I answered in Chad's question there. Okay. So thank you for your questions, Joe. We'll move down here to Sofa King Drunk 66, who is currently off of drinking real beer and is drinking near beers and reviewing those, which is quite entertaining. He wants to know why it is so difficult for you guys in Canada to get certain beers. I've watched and saw comments on Canadian beer tubers videos saying this. Is it a government thing or what? Yeah, it is, basically. Government-run liquor boards in most of the provinces here, dude. In my case, the province I live in, Nova Scotia, definitely falls under the government control thing, where basically they pick and choose what gets imported in, what we can try. They have limited shelf space, so there's limited selection. They also have to, balance local stuff and the big macro stuff from Canada. So usually we don't get a very good selection of stuff. It's very different from the States, and even just some of the other provinces. Like Alberta has their own privatized liquor stuff going on, like all kinds of private stores. There's a few private stores here, but they're very small. So yeah, our selection is pretty much shit. And also, another thing with where I live, my province is one of the smaller, sort of have not provinces with a lower population. So it just stands to reason that there would not be liquor stores or bottle shops or whatever that have big variant selections, because the population is too small to, for the demand to be high for such variation. So, you, especially where I live in my province, it's still a very rural place, and it's still that sort of traditional drink Coors, drink Budweiser kind of attitude. So, there's not a lot of people around here, especially in my area, who are going to demand to try, fucking Stone or the full range of Fullers or anything like that, right? It's just not profitable for the liquor board to bother bringing that stuff in, because it's not going to sell. So, okay. Count Roshkula. He says, I was actually thinking that you could do some movie reviews since you also have that blog. What do you think? And here's one for you. You can start with The Man with No Name trilogy. I remember seeing that in your collection. Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I'm trying to get a movie podcast off the ground, because I've been... Partly because, as you may have noticed, I haven't updated my blog in fucking forever, because I just haven't had the time or the drive to really write all that many new reviews. So I'm trying to get a movie podcast off the ground. I want to be serious about it. So I'm trying to get to the point where I have some money in my PayPal and I can actually get a good program to record, because I'm going to be doing, like, not only recording myself, but I want to record over Skype with some friends and stuff like that. So I want to get basically the same program my friend Daniel Harper has, that he uses for his podcast, like his Beyond the Poor and Oi Spaceman Doctor Who podcast he does with his wife. I want that sort of clarity and quality in my podcasts. So when I finally, so I'm just basically waiting to get that set up and get an actual hosting thing set up, a good one, so I can store the podcast somewhere. And yeah, eventually coming soon, hopefully in the next couple months at the very least. Okay. Jim Sear says he lives under a rock. He asks if I'm ditching the avoiding chores hangout for beer dweebs. Unfucking believable. And I already replied to him on that. I said I gotta go where the money is. Yeah, beer dweebs. It's just raking in the dough. Avoiding chores, not so much. So that's the way it is, Jim. Sorry. Let's see here. Anything else? Beer Guy reviews from Guy. Beer Guy reviews from Guy. I mean, you gotta excuse me. I'm a bit tired here. I just got off work a little while ago, so I'm a little. He says, okay, I don't know if this first bit is if he wants me to ask him questions, or if he's pretending to be me. I don't know. He says, ask me about boobies. I love boobies. Ask me about boobies. I love to watch boobies. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I agree with him, but I don't know where that came from. He wants to know what would be the best whiskey before a massive orgy. The best whiskey before a massive orgy. It'd have to be something from Isla. Perhaps a Lagavulin 16 or Lafroig 10 or the quarter cask. Maybe even Ardbeg, I'd have to say. Or if you want to go the bourbon route, like a Maker's Mark, something like that. What are your thoughts on the movie Cool Runnings, and should Chad play the coach in the remake? Uh, I think Cool Runnings, my opinion of that movie is I haven't seen it in so many years, I can't even remember anything about it other than it had John Candy, black people, and bobsled in the Olympics. What was it, Jamaican bobsled team? That's all I remember. I don't know if Chad could do. Well, Chad could probably do John. I don't know. Yeah, well, I suppose if it's going to be a remake, you want to diverge from the original, make it your own. So, yeah, sure, put Chad in the coach role. Um, he doesn't have to be like John Candy, he can be his own self. So, yeah. And he says, great channels, fine, sir, keep it up, and good luck on capturing that firebush. Well, thank you very much, Guy. And I think that's it. So thanks for the 3 people who actually asked questions. Hope this answered your questions. And well, I got some shit to do, and I got about a bunch of fucking shifts to work. So be good and fuck off.